Hello and welcome to another episode of Casting Views, the podcast that takes a topic each week and, as the name suggests, cast views. This week's episode, I've got a familiar voice to the show. I've got Slade from, I've got to start listing them now, haven't I? Game Club Pod, Between Two Pods, is it Anime Corner?
Yeah. Yes.
But more excitingly, sorry Slade, but more excitingly, I've got a new voice to the show. I've got Alex, who goes by many names on social media. So I'll call you Alex for now. So welcome to Casting Views.
You're overestimating me if you think I'm going to be more entertaining than Slade, but hello.
It's always lovely having a new voice on the show. I have got you both on. We've been talking about this for a while. And even though I've been planning this for a while, my classic good timing has caused me to kind of mess up sort of both the day or remember the day I'm doing this and what day it is, etc. So people probably won't see me throw this together behind the scenes all at the last minute. So we're going to talk about the world of Fallout, aren't we? I guess first question actually, and Alex, as this is your first time on this show, sorry. I'll throw it over to you first. So what's your experience with the world of Fallout?
So I started with, I think the first Fallout game I played was probably Fallout 2, way back when. And then I think I've played every game in the series since, even sort of Fallout Shelter, which Fallout Shelter is great to play on your phone, but yeah, and then obviously we've all watched the show, which has triggered this. But yeah, that's about it. There's not a lot. I don't think there's a lot of other media for Fallout, is there?
Not yet. Slade, same question for you.
So in my younger days as a youth, the first one I played was Fallout New Vegas, which at the time I thought was a horror game because I made the mistake of going to where the death claws are and not picking the game up for quite a while after that. Ended up playing Fallout 3 officially first, though, even though I started with New Vegas. I played all the way through 3, had a great time, and I was like, oh yeah, I have that other Fallout game. Played New Vegas and had an even better time and have been a fan ever since. Have gone back and played Fallout 1 and 2. So, I'd say I'm a good Fallout enjoyer. Dan, how about you?
I think I follow possibly a similar road as Alex. I think I definitely played one of the originals. Now, they were very different games, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
The first two.
Yeah, so they were the isometric ones where it's playing more like a Dungeons and Dragons or D&D role-playing game.
Yeah, and I don't think I got on very well with it. But then when Fallout 3 come out, so I've played the mainline game since then. So 3, New Vegas, 4, had a dabble with Shelter. Haven't gone into 76 yet. Haven't given that a go. I mean, I hear it's a better game now than it was on launch.
Oh, yes. It was on launch. Wow.
On launch, it was awful. Now they've done a lot of extra work to make it better, but I don't want to 100% credit Bethesda for that. That's a lot of the community really pushing for it.
Well, I think they needed a lot of goodwill from the way that game launched, right? Yeah.
Yes.
When you've got a mobile game that's head and shoulders above it,
Yeah, it says a lot. Beyond it just being buggy, there was just like nothing to do. Because originally in 76, the idea was that the community would create the stuff to do, but it's not really what people wanted. They didn't want an MMO RPG for their Fallout game. I just want to go play like New Vegas and play it co-op. I just want to go wander the wastelands with my friend. I don't want to be giving quests.
You don't want to have to make the game yourself. You want the game to be there already.
Right. Yeah, I just want to go wander the wastelands with my friends. I don't want to do the work part of it.
Yes. Yeah, and I think like yourself, Slade, I've literally just recently replayed through 3 as well.
Yes.
I want to go through New Vegas and 4 again. I remember New Vegas being the one I enjoyed the most. And I think that's because it did feel slightly different, didn't it? I mean, going back to 3, I use the word monotonous, but that's quite negative, but I don't mean that. It's just very samey, isn't it, as you're going through?
Well, so I think that about New Vegas, because I like the world of 3 better. The fact that you have all the derelict buildings and, stuff to go loot and look around versus wandering the desert as you're walking for an hour to get to your next place. So I think the story of New Vegas is the superior one, but I like the worlds of 3 and 4 a lot better, just because there's more to do and adventure and explore.
Alex, did you say you had a favourite?
To be fair, it is probably 3 because similar event as Slade, there was a lot more to do in 3 and 4. I think New Vegas was a different studio, wasn't it? That was
Kind of.
Obsidian, ZeniMax, someone like that.
Yeah, so it was ZeniMax, and the thing about it was after they built the engine for Fallout 3, they basically said, all right, for New Vegas, I think they gave them like 16 months. It was a little over a year to develop New Vegas, and New Vegas has the far superior story and with the multiple endings that it has. But it was to be done with the bonus, and they would only get the bonus if it got an 85 on Metacritic, and famously it got an 84.
Those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah. Famously, it was off by 1 point, so nobody got the bonus.
Wow.
Hate
By
to
a
see
point.
it.
Yeah.
Hate
But
to see it.
New Vegas, we talk about the story of it, but with the multiple factions of the Wastelanders, the NCR, the Powder Gangers, Kaisar's Legion, because they don't know how to say Caesar correctly, Mr. House, and all of that with Matthew Perry or Chandler
Yep.
from Friends being the main villain. But I think New Vegas is more in the vein of the original Fallout games, that you don't inherently have to be the good guy. You could go be a villainous, I don't want to cuss on your show, Dan, but you could go be a villainous bastard if you want to.
I'll allow that.
That's fine. In the UK, that word, we use it like punctuation.
Let's move on to the show. And before I do, Alex, actually, I never gave you the opportunity to start. Is there anything you need to shout out?
Not for myself. I don't really do anything apart from be a perpetual guest on everyone else's show. That's slowly becoming my thing. But yeah, if people want anything to check out, it would be the PodPack Collective, because that's how I'm here with you two. I mean, I know Slade, but Slade never has me on anything. Slade hates me. But
He's put me to shame, actually. I should have said, yeah, this is obviously a PodPack Collective. So go check out the PodPack Collective. It is a group of podcasts, indie podcasts, just trying to help each other out and put positive space in the pod community. Thank you for setting me right there, Alex. But yeah,
it's a good place to bully people into doing episodes that they weren't going to do.
Well, yeah, and this is now you're on the show here. Now it's always the case of it always starts giving me ideas for how to get people back. So we shall work on that. Okay, TV show. So I'm trying to think. I'm not sure I knew that was coming out. I think that was one of the things that surprised me anyway. Alex, again, I think I'll start with you. What's your initial take on the show?
I genuinely don't remember any adverts or anything for it, and coming into it I was a bit skeptical because famously movies and TV shows based on video games tend not to do very well, and Fallout's one of those franchises that I've got a lot of love for. I've played, like I said, a lot of the games, so I was a bit apprehensive about it, but turns out it's all right.
Slade, how about you?
So in the same vein, TV normally doesn't do shows correctly, mainly because they don't get the creators involved. But you can tell a lot of love went into this. And what's funny is the location they picked, Shady Sands, is a big reference to where the main town is in Fallout 1 as you're going through its story. I do like the little details like that. I like the details that going in, just the props themselves, the way the power armor looks, the fact that that's a practical prop that they could wear and walk around in, tremendous. So I'm happy it's already supposed to be getting a season 2. It does make me curious what they're supposed to do, because Vegas being shown at the end, is really makes you curious about what Mr. House is going to do about things. There's also little details as well. I don't know if y'all noticed, but the longer that Lucy and her father, Hank, were out and about in the wasteland, their skin color changed from being
I spotted that.
Yeah, I noticed her eyes. I noticed her eyes getting darker and sort of a bit more sagged, but I didn't notice the skin.
Yeah, so they start turning a bit more orange from the radiation poisoning of the surface.
Oh,
yeah, there's a lot of little details like that are going on, which I'm a little details person. I really do appreciate that kind of thing. I didn't like it at first, if I'm honest, because of the way the story was jumping around.
Yeah,
I thought that was a little confusing, but I like the way it ties in at the end, so it pays off.
Yeah, I think the same way. I enjoyed it overall. It was a bit slow going, and there was that little bit of confusion about the not a dual timeline, but there's ultimately two events in the series, isn't there? You've got the original Fallout. I shouldn't probably use that word when we talk about Fallout, but you've got the original sort of war, haven't you? Like the
Right.
2077, and then there was a one that they did on is it Shady? No, yeah, is it Shady Sands?
Yeah, the little town out there where they're fighting.
Yeah. So that initially gave a bit of confusion. So Alex, I'm going back to what you said. Yeah, there's always that horror or that dread as a gamer when there's a series or a film coming out based on a game, especially if you like it. Do we think this one gets away with it because Fallout doesn't really have a main protagonist as such between the games? It's all about you, especially in the first couple, a voiceless person wandering a wasteland, and it's more the characters you come across.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that they've done quite well with it because, like you say, there isn't a main character, so they've basically been able to go. They've focused on the world of Fallout and the tech and what's happened in the history, and they've gone, right, this is the character we want. We're going to plop them in that scenario, and it just worked. If you did that with something else that had a main protagonist, say you tried to shoe on someone into a Resident Evil movie who wasn't in the games originally, that's going to be the first thing people pick up on is that guy wasn't there. But with Fallout, they've had that sort of free pass almost. They've been able to go, this is the character we want, this is the storyline we want, this is the world, and it worked well for them.
And I like though how they did link it to the game with like that initial growing up in the vault kind of thing, or the exit of the vault. That's how 3 and 4 specifically start, isn't it? Where you're based in the vault and you're the first time outside.
Oh, that's the first one does that too, where the only reason you leave the vault in Fallout 1 is because the water chip breaks, and you kind of see that same thing going on in the TV show where they're having a water shortage.
And I think the other thing that immediately will endear it to people, so as well as the free what's the word, the free hit to do kind of whatever story they want, the world though can be really linked closely to the game. So I mean, there's a hell of a lot of Easter eggs in there, isn't there, and things to do. That is it. That classic. Is it the Leo DiCaprio meme where you see it and he's leaning forwards and clicking his finger?
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, you're doing that every episode at least sort of 10 times, aren't you? So
Right.
I guess then the question for you two then: did it feel like Fallout?
Alex, you want to go first? Because I have a moment that to me made it feel like Fallout.
It definitely felt like Fallout. They made it. The thing that I think worked well with it is they made a very clear distinction of this is what people in the vault, their life is like, this is how they are. And then these are the people who are surviving on the surface. And there is such a drastic difference between the two of them. The whole interaction between Lucy and the shopkeeper, whose name I can't remember, that just sort of proves that it shows that they've grown up in very, very different scenarios.
Yeah, I was gonna say the part that made it really feel like the game was in the last episode, where the stories really merged together, and it shows all those choices that you would have made, playing the game, and the different factions you had sided with, and different companions that you would have made coming together.
Yeah, do you want to use this evil technology? Do you want to destroy it? Do you want to kill this ghoul of your mother? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so it made me think of my first playthrough of New Vegas, where my karma tag said "lighthearted Jesus." So I was friendly with I was friendly with every faction unless they did something against me. So it was a really weird thing to obtain, and that's kind of how I felt about Lucy at the end, because she had never really wronged any of the factions that she went through, and there's a big old wrong in air quotes there, because there's the vault that she goes to, but she ends up giving them their power cell back.
Oh
Yeah, but like I feel like her being paranoid and scared was kind of justified in attacking, and then she felt bad about those people and gave them their power cell back, which I think's good.
She was the kind-hearted Jesus of the world.
The only thing about and I thought she was great, right? So
Yeah.
Is it Ella Purnell, sorry. So I was watching this with my wife, who isn't a gamer, hasn't watched me play Fallout. So we were watching it. I think the thing that attracts her is that it's a sci-fi kind of all these weird random aliens, things like that. She loves all that. But the thing that she found difficult was you can kind of agree it's the first couple of episodes where, Lucy's very innocent, wide-eyed and trusting of everything. After the 5th, 6th, 7th sort of betrayal or terrible thing, she's still going into every horrible scenario, sort of all innocent and trusting.
Yep. But I think at the last episode, that's finally broken for her.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I think it would be given what happened.
Yeah, we're kind of dancing around it, but yeah. The other thing the show does gives credit about, there's always been a question of who shot first that started the nuclear apocalypse. So the original creator of Fallout, Tim Kaine, says it was China. He didn't even know people were debating it.
Okay.
But Bethesda's kind of changed that a bit and given it that it could have been Vault-Tec who started it. Because the thing is, if you read like a lot of data files and things like that in the game, it shows that America was responding to nuclear arms being dropped.
That's the impression I got, that the show was kind of intimating that it was Vault-Tec, right? That
Right.
it was like ultimately going to be a financial thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Big money maker.
Yeah. Because I think with these games as well, just like any of these games where everything, you have to find it really, don't you, through like logs, audio logs or books, things like that. The games, you
Right.
can play through the game without really knowing too much about the story, can't you?
Yeah, so there's like a lot of things you can miss when you play Fallout, which is one of the reasons why it makes such a good like water cooler game. Because you can go, if you have a couple friends at work playing it, everybody's going to have a different experience. Nobody's going to go off in the same way. There's a line spoken by the ghoul in the TV show, which I had to pause for laughing, because he said the first rule of the wasteland is doubt should always get distracted. And I'm not going to finish the quote because it's, I don't want to cuss on Dan's show too much, but it's accurate though. Everybody's going to get distracted with little side quests. They're like, oh, that building looks cool. Let me go see if there's anything in that. And then a lot of times
I'm going to do the main story quest. Oh, I found a kid in a fridge.
Yeah. Or there's like a lot of times you'll get distracted by little things in the overworld. There's distinctly in Fallout 3, if you're doing the main story, for example, and you're going to the Super Duper Mart, it's like one of the first basic objectives you could get. There's a house along the way, and if you go in there looking for loot, you'll notice in a bathtub there's a skeleton with a toaster, and that tells you a complete story, and there's just little things like that around every nook and cranny that you go through. I think that's one of the things that makes it so good.
Yeah, that's what it does really well, because there's a lot of places you go to and there isn't anything there, as in there isn't a mission marker or there isn't a mission giver, but then you start looking around to think, so why is it here?
Right. I think it's little details like that, and the show does a good job of that as well, just by putting things in the background that you could notice or look at.
For me, I think that's why I enjoyed the show as a link to the game. Is I think it's ultimately the first episode, it's the first episode where she lands in the town, isn't it? And
yeah,
it just feels like, you are that character that's just found that ramshackle town where there's, they're eating those weird things on sticks, they're kind of the little doors dotted around, and that to me already made it feel like it's, you're watching a slight chunk of the game being played out on screen.
Yeah, I do like that it painted the Brotherhood as what they really are, not a
cult.
Yeah.
A cult that takes children and turns them into warriors.
Yeah, it painted them very accurately, which was nice to see.
I found Brotherhood slightly, the way they were portrayed though, like I said, I thought the armor looked great, but I kind of found them, I didn't really take to the people who were portraying them that well. It felt bizarre. So you've got like the, and I know you get it in most shows, but you've got the guy, is it Thaddeus or Thaddeus?
Titus.
Yeah, it kind of was like the comic relief bit almost of it.
Yeah.
And you got Maximus, who I found, it was really weird or what style he was trying to portray. He was like either ultra super serious and then a little bit goofy, especially when he met Ella. And sometimes what bloke hasn't been reduced to a quivering bunch of nerves or foolishness when they've met a woman, right? But yeah, I'm probably not explaining it well. But you know what I mean? It just felt a little bit of an awkward, for me
Yeah.
anyway, portrayal of some of the people there.
Right. No. I 100% get what you mean by that. I was thinking more as well their portrayal of like how they actually operate and everything. Because in the first two games, and I guess just kind of overall, there really shouldn't be a good guy in Fallout because everybody in the Waste is really looking out for themselves or their faction's
Absolutely.
own interests.
Yeah.
And I come back to the end of the show again, but that's really what's happened. Lucy has made a selfish interest. Hank's made a selfish interest. The Ghoul has done that. Everyone's done that. Everybody's really looking out for themselves, despite what their faction actually wants.
Yeah, no one's gone, I'm doing this for the good of the entire world. They're all going, I'm doing this for the good of the New California Republic. I'm doing it for the good of my vault, for my little town.
And that's why I like, we've not really mentioned him too much yet, but Walter Goggins as the Ghoul, I think he's brilliant in it, isn't he? Because he's almost introduced like he should be, because he is a main character, he should be that good guy that hooks up with the young naive person. But like you said, Slade, he's just doing what he wants for himself, right? He doesn't care. He doesn't care.
No, he's trying to solve his own interests, and he doesn't care who's in his way.
Yeah, especially as he almost did the unforgivable thing that any actor can do in it, or character can do in the show. Is he was almost going to kill Dogmeat, right? Wasn't he?
Yeah,
almost. Yeah,
almost.
And he realised he could use him, so that just about saved him. But he's a fascinating character, isn't he? Both in the character himself and how he's portrayed. I mean, Walton Goggins. Sorry, we know he can act, right?
Right.
But sort of pre-Fallout and post the Fallout, he played both those sides of him really well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't clock that the Ghoul was what's his name? Hank? Is it Hank? Yeah, I didn't realize it was Hank. Not Hank. Sorry, no. Cooper. I didn't realize it was Cooper for the first couple of episodes. It was one of those. Is it? Could it be? Is it? And then after a little bit, it's like, yeah, it is. It's 100% him. And I thought that was really well done because they didn't make it like super obvious to begin with. They gave you things to consider.
Yeah, and the other thing about ghouls is it's very like unspecific, even in the lore of Fallout, how people turn into them. It seems kind of like at random, but the show kind of put a little finger waggle on that because I can't think of his name, but the other Brotherhood of Steel character, he ends up like basically losing his foot to gangrene, and the only thing holding his foot together is a shoe. And he trusts an oil snake doctor essentially to heal him, and he ends up getting turned into a ghoul.
In that awesome scene, though, saved him, right?
Yeah.
When does he get the arrow through the neck? Doesn't he?
He does. Yeah, and he gets the arrow through the neck, and he's just like, "Why am I not dead?"
Actually, that reminded me of the game because I was playing Fallout 3 and at one bit it was like, that scene from The Simpsons where Sideshow Bob just turns around and gets hit in the face by a rake. There was just about 100 mines all around me and I just didn't see them. It's like, there's another mine. There's another one. The whole thing about the Ghoul, because that was something they didn't quite explain, did they? Because you introduced to him and he's buried for like 364 or 360 days of the year, and they only bring him out for like a few days a year, wasn't it? Whoever owned him, quote, owned him. So that was quite a mysterious thing. But if we go back to him pre-war, I thought that was a brilliant thing. And again, quite a brave thing to involve the kids in the Fallout, the explosion, because they're doing that little thumbs up thing, which again is a great little nod to the game. But it's quite shocking because they're using his daughter.
Yeah, I like that she does say, "Your thumb or mine."
Yeah, that was great. Yeah,
so it's a nice little line in there. But I do like the fact that we get to see a lot of pre-war.
Yeah,
in this, because that's always one of those things that you have to mainly like read about. You don't actually ever get to see.
For someone watching it as well, I mean, even if you're playing the games, Fallout has always had that weird aesthetic as well, isn't it? Like future retro.
Yeah, so what I read a long time ago was that apparently in the universe of Fallout, the microprocessing chip was never invented, the thing that allows us to, talk on these computers and have smartphones. That's why the Pip-Boy is so big. Because everything's still running on vacuum tubing.
which if we're going to go, no, I'll save that for when we talk briefly about the games at the end. But the other thing that really stood out for me is that, and it's Amazon, right? But
Right.
it's got quite a big, it feels like it's got a big budget. It looks good, doesn't it? It's
Yes.
not half-hearted.
No, they definitely put some time into it. There was a statement from Todd Howard talking about that he was sat there at the overseer's terminal for one of the sets, and he was just like looking at all these notes and lore that they had just taken like straight from the games. And he was just, yeah, the amount of detail was just even on set stuff that you'll never notice is wild.
But it's a lot of practical stuff as well, because they went out to sites. They had, obviously, as we've mentioned before, they had the actual power armor, all stuff that could have very easily been green screened and VFX'd in afterwards. But instead, they've gone, right. Let's do this practically. Let's do it justice, and I think it looks better for it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The only time I think the visual effects stand out is, again, I keep talking about the last episode, but it's when you see the vertibirds, the helicopters, landing.
Yeah.
They stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the last episode, right?
Yeah. The budget's running tight. We can't build this helicopter from scratch.
Let's just VFX it in. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that Carl McLaughlin's budget that he featured in that last episode as well. So that's where that went, right?
Yep.
Oh, what was I going to say about this? So, yeah, the funny thing I had as well, and listening, well, at time of recording the Two Blokes from Blighty episode that went out this week. So you've got a lot of cameos, a lot of big stars in this. But the one that stood out for me is Thaddeus, Johnny Pemberton, because he is in a supermarket. Is that a superstore? The sitcom, and he was doing that thing, and it was as Joey opened this week's episode up with that wah sound like that, and I just kept expecting him to do that, sort of when he's carrying the armor for Maximus. But yeah, he's got a lot of people in it. I mean, even Eric Estrada in it, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
Do you find that distracting though in a show when you've got these odd cameos?
Personally, no, because I don't keep up with actors or anything. So it might as well have been the first time I had seen them. But most of these actors I didn't know in the first place anyway. So.
And where do you want it to go in the next season? So, Alex, I think you said it's been renewed for at least another season. I mean...
Yeah, they've definitely been signed for a second season, but I could see them getting a few more out of it.
Yeah. I know it's people want to see the outside, and I know they've discussed the death clause going to be in season 2, so I think that would be great to see those. I think I want to see them go into a few more vaults, because we know there's a number of vaults where there's some not so nice things happened in them, right? As well, we kind of saw one.
Well, yeah, the majority of vaults are not great places to be unless you happen to live in what they call a control vault, where there is no experiment. Which you do hear a bunch about that when they're Vault-Tec's getting all the companies together to go in to be a monopoly for the protection, quote unquote protection. I don't know. There's a lot they could do. There's a big thing from Fallout. I think it's the first one that they skipped over. And it's Fallout 2. I'm sorry. There's a vault that's full of intelligent death claws.
Oh yeah.
Like you can actually talk to them and interact. That would be interesting to see. I know that they're the people who've played just the Bethesda games through for a bit of a loop, but it would be highly interesting.
I'd like to see them come up against a pack of super mutants. That would be fun.
Yeah, that would also be cool, because FEV, or the Forced Evolutionary Virus, was invented on the West Coast. So that's why you get like the smarter super mutants, like in New Vegas, versus on the East Coast, where, in Fallout 3 and DC, they're mostly just kind of very simple-minded.
I think I'd like to see a lot more of the wildlife.
Yes.
But also, visit another kind of... So, only because I've played Fallout 3 recently, but you've got Rivet City, which is in like the remains of is it a tanker in the water? So seeing something slightly different.
Yeah, it's just a big boat.
Yeah, yeah. So it'd be good to see how, I think, Alex, like you alluded to earlier, about how certain people, how they survived and how they've continuing to survive.
Take them to Nuka World. Let's go to Nuka World.
Yeah. Like I said, it's definitely taken me back. It's now given me a bit of renewed hope for some IPs to be based, on games to come out on the screen. I mean, that's a bit of a sweeping statement, I guess.
They've been getting better with these video games as other media kind of things.
Yeah.
But it's something to be careful of, because if they start just going, right, well, Fallout's done really well, so let's make a game on Skyrim, let's make a game based on this, that, or the other, you're running the risk of oversaturating the market and not giving it the time it needs. I think they must have spent quite a bit of time doing this.
Yeah, because I didn't see any marketing for it either, but I remember a couple of years ago on the Fallout subreddit seeing like somebody had found the stage, like where they left one of the not stage, I don't know what you call it, the like Red Rocket gas station.
Yeah,
and they had posted photos. That's what I saw prior to ever hearing about a show being confirmed.
so it looks like Amazon purchased the rights to it in 2020.
Yeah.
And then it was announced in July of that year, so they've obviously worked on it for a good 3 and a bit years, I imagine.
Yeah.
But obviously, with everything that went on during that time,
it was probably hard to do some of it, but the production is very high, and that's, like I said at the beginning, you talk to anybody who likes anime, they can tell you how bad live action adaptations can be.
Yeah.
So it's always a risk.
The worry is always about how quickly streaming services are to drop shows, depending on how well they do, or even if they are doing well, it doesn't guarantee safety. I mean, for me, I know there is, post-apocalyptic shows aren't new, but I think it's done this quite well, and Fallout is quite an unusual idea for that. Like, it's no secret I love Mass Effect, and would I love to see a Mass Effect film or a show? Yeah, but we've got so many space-themed space soap operas that would it stand out from anything else? Do you see what I'm saying? And Oblivion, I like the Elder Scrolls, but now you've got Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. I know it's not exactly the same, but you've kind of got that fantasy drama. Whereas I think, again, is this where maybe Fallout's got an advantage because that post-apocalyptic kind of world hasn't really been done or done this well?
Well, if it's been done, it's been done in like zombie things like The Walking Dead or 28 Days Late. It's not been done in post-nuclear, which I think that gives its edge.
Yeah. Post-nuclear steampunk's never really been done that far.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's what gives it the big advantage over what you're talking about trying to do Mass Effect, because you have Star Wars, Star Trek, you have the Orville, whatever it is that Seth MacFarlane does.
Yeah.
You can start just listing off shows, but versus this, I don't think you have that.
So, and probably final question on this, unless you've got anything specific about the show, do you want them to continue to lean into taking a lot from the games, or should they start branching off?
No, they got to stick with the games and what the games have established, I think.
If they start branching off, they're going to start making up bullshit that doesn't make sense in that world, and then
right, that's what happens. So as long as they're sticking to what the games have said, is canon and factual, and the fact that they're showing Vegas, I mean, hell, even Vegas has its own interesting history, like the fact that Mr. House basically funded the missile shield to shoot down the nukes to keep it from getting too blown up. Like only a few got through into Vegas versus all the ones that were supposed to. So stuff like that. Or the fact that Mr. House took forever to get booted up in his like robotic state. That'd be an interesting thing prior to him fully being in control of the strip. I think there's a couple ways you could take it and do it. Yeah.
Oh, the other thing, sorry, I meant to say right at the start, for me, it was just brilliant hearing Matt Berry as Mr. Handsy as well. I did that double take, then I thought that voice sounds so familiar. I wasn't expecting him to be finding voice, but who better, I think. So
very good.
So is there anything else before I kind of want to talk a little bit about the games as well? Is there anything else about the show either of you want to bring up?
I'm good. The show's good. Watch it.
And I don't think we've mentioned yet, it's one of those that you don't have to, it's one of those shows you can go into without a prior knowledge of the event. You could, like you say, your wife who's never played them, never seen the games, sit her down in front of it. It's a fun post-apocalyptic TV series, but for those of us in the know, we're sat there going, I understand that. I know what that's talking about.
That's a really good point,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Very low barrier for entry.
Yeah, no, that is a good point. I mean, even for me, I was always going to get around to watching it, but it kind of blew up on, pun not intended, but it kind of blew up on social media. And then somebody at work came over and said, "Oh, Dan, have you watched that yet?" And I thought, "You know, I've got to now because it's going to get spoiled for me." So that's what made me sit down. And I think it's only 8 episodes, which is great. I know they're about an hour long, but I do like short run series. Keep the
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah. The other thing I was worried about, a lot of times it seems like when they're a bit nervous about shows, they drop every episode at one time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I was a bit worried about that, but I'm happy to see my worries were for naught. So
Did you say before we recorded, we pushed record, that there was a film planned?
yeah, so back when Interplay still owned the franchise, before Bethesda bought it from them because Interplay went bankrupt, they were planning on a film, and it's a very, very poor telling of the first game. It's like they tried to combine the first game of Fallout and Mad Max together. You know, vehicles aren't really a big thing in the Fallout universe other than the vertibirds, but the main character in the movie would have had a basically like a magical four-wheeler or ATV that he could do anything and get anywhere from. There's a YouTuber called TK Mantis who goes through the whole script of the movie plot and why it was never made. Beyond the funding thing, but it was not very good.
Probably a better thing, because maybe if that had come out and flopped, we wouldn't have got the show, maybe. So
Yeah.
Okay, so back on the games then. What is it for each of you that draws you to the games? Because I know there's a couple of things for me that I really like, but what is it for yourselves?
Slade?
Go on, Alex. No,
All
go
right.
on. I've been talking too much. Go ahead.
I like a nice open world game where you can do what you want to do. You've got these set goals, you've got targets, and you've got this main story and everything, but you don't get punished for the wandering off and doing whatever the hell you like. That's the kind of I like that kind of gameplay. Something where it says, "Hey, you could go do that thing over there. That looks pretty cool, but on the way, here's 20 different things." And I think
Yeah.
there's that many things you can do. And as I think Slade said before, everyone can have a different experience of it. Apart from, it seems we all ran into the Deathclaw camp at the start. Because I did the exact same thing. I went, okay, maybe I'll go north instead.
Kind of like Alex said, I like that it's your story. I like the fact that when you play it, you will have a different story from everybody else. Sure, there's the one main quest you're going on, you know, whether you're looking for your dad, you're looking for your son, or you're just looking for the guy who shot you in the head and stole your package. You know, the way that it plays out is completely up to you, and it's a world that you can get lost in. Just, you know, turn some music on your Pip-Boy and get going.
Yeah, that's interesting how they do have the radio on the Pip-Boy, isn't it? It's like, yeah, the GTA radio, but just with a lot limited tunes. Yeah, I think for me, it's similar to you two, really. The fact, yeah, you can follow the story, then you can go off and find your own story, but it also, so as you said, it rewards people for just looking around. That it's not going to spoon feed you everything.
No, it's a world of little details.
Yeah, I made the mistake when I was playing. So I love the whole RPG bit of it. So, you know, you've got the special system, you've got all the, what are they called? Like each time you level up, you can pick a perk. So
Yep.
I made a mistake at the end. I thought, oh, this will be good, where it reveals everything on the map. But then I realised that was an absolute nightmare, because then I didn't know where I wanted to go or where I could go. It's like, you haven't found this place yet. You haven't found this place yet.
You've opened the Pandora's box.
Yeah. I think it does absolutely reward finding it on your own. I also really like the Pip-Boy, and I love the VATS battle system. The question I have here, do either of you remember, I think it was Fallout 4, there was a collector's edition where there was a Pip-Boy that came with that?
Yes, there was.
Slade's probably got it, knowing Slade.
No, I don't have it. I do have
Oh.
a T-51 helmet though, sitting on
Actually,
I've
yes,
just
and we
got a
need to put
bobblehead.
that picture out. We need to put that picture out when we air this episode. Oh, he's off. He's off to get it. Oh, and you've got the bobblehead, yeah, Alex.
I got it. Do you remember loot boxes?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, I got it in one of them.
Sorry, I almost said Slade showing us his helmet, but that
that sounded dirty,
cool.
Dan.
Yeah, that does look cool. That does look cool.
So, and you can wear it. I thought about replacing the plastic so I could use this as a welding helmet. I thought that'd be really funny. But,
Has it got anything? Is it just the helmet? And when I say just, it's not got like a voice.
It's got the lining, and then it's got
Okay.
like a hard hat insert essentially that you
so
can
cool.
adjust. Yeah.
I'm just imagining Slade turning up to sites with that on now.
I go to inspect somebody, and this just like
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
folds down.
See,
A high-vis jacket and a power armor helmet.
Alex was showing us his bobblehead as you went away, and I had one, but I unbelievably got rid of it somehow. I think I got the Fallout 3 collector's edition, which came in a metal lunchbox based
I
on the ones
remember
that you
that one,
find in
yeah.
the game. Yeah, and that had the Pip-Boy or the Vault
God.
bobblehead in that.
Vault Boy.
Yeah,
I miss the days of good physical special editions.
Yeah.
that didn't cost the earth. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all
Didn't cost
just
an arm and a
digital
leg.
crap now.
Yeah.
Great
yeah.
times.
Yeah, no, that was great. It was a little metal lunchbox, which I never took to work. Don't worry, it's not. I wanted to, but yeah, it's so there is rumors that they are working on the next game, right?
So yeah, that's the rumor. They're supposed to be working on Fallout 5. I would like to see 1 and 2 though get like a nice treatment because they're very hard to get into if you're not used to like older style video games. A lot of people say Fallout 2 is the hardest one to get through the beginning of. There's like a challenge thing you have to go through before you're even allowed to go out and into the world, and a lot of people can't get through it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of people fail it a couple of times. The first 2 games are very overwhelming if you're not used to classic point and click games.
I think you can. Yeah, well, I know you can. You can get them on PC Game Pass, can't you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they're also on Steam.
Yeah,
Oh,
so all the
okay.
Bethesda ones are on Game Pass, but the original 2 plus Tactics, which Tactics was actually the first multiplayer one, and that one was co-op, like in the way I was talking about earlier, where you just go play with your friends, but it's all in the point and click isometric.
Do we have worries about a new game coming out the way gaming seems to be going?
Yes, as always.
Yeah.
Always do. I didn't think Fallout 4 was bad when it came out in the beginning. I thought it was good. It's gotten better with patches and bug fixes. There's some stuff in it I could do without, like settlements. Never really cared about it. I made the Red Rocket my home, and never built anything else on top of that.
Yeah, I didn't like how that was shoehorned into it.
It's not fun. I just want to go on my adventures.
You don't want to have to do resource management on top of it.
Right. I do like the way that Fallout 4, and I'm hoping however they do it, and 5 improves upon it, the looting system. So you don't have to like stop what you're doing, go into like a little sub menu and loot it out. You can just do it without ever pausing gameplay. I always thought that was nice. And the fact that you could turn around and just walk away from a conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was very, instead of having to go out through the dialogue boxes, you could just like
sitting there spamming B going, let me out, let me out.
Yeah, I could just turn around and walk off. That's 2 of the things I've missed while playing Fallout 3.
Okay. And I've got 2 questions for you, both of you. So, have either of you firstly played the upgraded version of Fallout 4?
The new one?
Well, they've released
the massive patch that messed up Fallout London.
Yeah.
Stupid patch.
Yeah, me and Slade were not happy about that patch, were we, Slade?
No, because we were both looking forward to Fallout London. And then the other thing is that all it really did was add the Enclave, who that's a whole different chunk of lore that we don't have time to get into, but that's essentially the remnants of the United States government. if there was truly a bad guy, it would be the Enclave because they're trying to turn people into super mutants. If there was truly a bad guy, it would be the Enclave.
I always found it funny why they went to that one because, Fallout 4 is not necessarily, I haven't gone to it recently, but I can't imagine it being a terrible looking game where you got Fallout 3 that could potentially have had, maybe a new lick of paint on that.
I agree. I agree. I think a lot of people agree with that.
Yeah.
You could touch up any of the previous games, but they didn't. The other thing I would say is that really that's all it did was add some a couple of new quests. It added some custom power armor for the Enclave, which really the only advantage for Enclave power armor is that it's really rad resistant. And if you want negative charisma, then by all means wear Enclave power armor.
But not when you were what did you say you were? Your karma? You were light-hearted.
Lighthearted Jesus. Yeah, I can't wear it.
Okay, and the other question I've got: Fallout 3 Megaton, destroyed or saved?
Never destroyed it.
You never
destroyed. No,
you've never destroyed it either.
No,
it's one of those universally agreed things. You don't destroy Megaton.
Oh, that's you didn't. Joey and Tim from the Game Club did, but that's because they're bastards. And I mean that in the mean way. They're making me swear on casting views.
I destroyed it, but in the way of I do it any of these sort of games on a separate save. It's not my canon save. I did it just to see what would happen. Just like I've only ever played a Renegade playthrough of Mass Effect once. It's always the same, but it's an interesting option they give you right at the start of that game, though, as well, isn't it? Because you come across Megaton quite early, don't you? Well,
it's like
in the first hour, I think, isn't it?
It should be the first town that you stumble upon.
Yeah,
it would be really weird for that not to be the first town that you stumble upon.
And if I remember right, it's weird because then you can go back and a lot of the characters are then ghouls, I think, that you have. You can have a chat.
Yeah, you can go have a chat with like Moria Brown, and she's become a ghoul, and she's like, "Well, how am I going to do my hair now?" She's just so upbeat, even after getting,
even though her entire town's just been destroyed.
Yeah, her dialogue's really funny. No, I've never been able to bring myself to do it. I just go kill everybody in 10 Penny Tower, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
So there you go. So we've learned that you two are just very good-hearted people.
We should be in control of Nuke Slade.
Yeah.
That can only go well.
Another really random thing that hit me was in Fallout 3, isn't there some village that's full of children?
Yeah, Camp Lightfoot. It's part of the main quest that you're going to go through.
That's it. Yes, yeah. And again, I find things like that really weird, which probably the show could do well to explore random things like that.
So they're explained by like another YouTuber a lot better than I could here, but apparently it got started because kids were on a field trip to the campgrounds, and then the bombs dropped while they were on the field trip, and then the adults tried to go out and explore to bring back food. Never did because radiation killed them, and so that's how it ended up. The kids kept getting betrayed by the adults who were supposed to be watching out for them, and that's why when you turn 16 there, you get kicked out and you get sent to Big Town.
That's it, Big Town, yeah.
Yeah. Now, in between the camp and Big Town, though, is Paradise Falls, where the slavers are.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
So you can have another moral option there of like selling them out, but again, who does that?
Not me. No, don't look at me like that.
I think I might have done that.
Oh, there we go.
Did I sell them out? I think I sold them out.
I can never remember. Sometimes you do something, you see you've got bad karma. I was thinking, why? What have I done?
Right. Yeah, selling a load of kids to slavers. What's wrong with that?
Right. So that's, it's many of options that you can take. And like we said earlier, why they're so good is that you can go do what you please.
Yeah. And Slade, I think it was in the as yet unaired return to Between Two Pods. I think I said that I really like the lockpicking system in Fallout 3. It feels good.
Yes.
And it looks good.
Yes.
And the hacking as well, the computer terminal hacking, I really like.
Yeah.
Very straightforward, but I like the clickety clack sound. I'm simple. So.
I'm one of the people that like gets on the computer in Fallout and I click the first 3, tab out, go back in, click the first 3, go back.
We all do that, right? Don't we?
Alex doesn't apparently.
No, I do it properly. I use my brain.
Well, yeah, but sometimes my brain's tired.
I try to. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I'm just tired and I don't feel like doing it.
Okay, right. Well, the only other thing I had was for a fairly straightforward game, there are a lot of different enemies. I do like the variety you get in that. We've said we don't play Fallout 76. Alex, you just want to give a little overview of Shelter? I know I briefly dabbled with that.
Yeah, so Shelter's one of these sort of like almost like a city builder kind of thing, but you're managing a vault, and different rooms produce different resources, and to get those resources the best way possible, you have to assign people with the right skills. So, like, I think water treatment plant, to get water, you need people with perception. The canteen or the kitchen, whatever you want to call it, I think you've got to have agility, and you can send your people out into the wasteland to explore, and that's a sort of automatic send them off and ignore it kind of thing. It's a good little, if you're on like a commute for 10 minutes, you can pop it on your phone and just do what you need to do and then crack on. But yeah, it's a good little side game. It's not very deep in the story. It's not very complex in its gameplay. It's just a nice, simple turn your brain off for 10 minutes, ignore the outside world, and manage a vault.
Slade, have you dabbled in that?
I did when it first came out and haven't played it since. I don't really play games on my phone just because I've said before, my phone's tied to me working.
All right.
So, yeah, so I try to, not be on it extra more than I need to.
Yeah, also my eyesight's getting shocking, so I can barely see when I'm typing, let alone being able to play a game on the phone now. So
tell me about it.
Yeah.
I can't relate.
All right. Well, look, I know it was a really whirlwind ride through the world of Fallout, but thank you both for coming on. Is there anything else you want to say about either the show or the game before we close out?
They're good. Go play and enjoy them. Fans are picky about things, but, they're fun.
Okay, Alex, anything you want to shout out before we sign off?
I'll do just the PodPack Collective again. Like I say, this whole episode is due to me basically bullying you into doing it through the PodPack Collective, which if this had been 6 months ago, I'd have never been able to do it. So yeah, if you wanna bully people onto your show, go there and do it.
And actually, while you're here, no, I just want to say thank you, because also, really, I think we first started speaking properly when you did the role-playing game on the 12 days of Christmas.
The D&D for Podmas, yeah.
I was so that was just amazing. So yeah, a real big shout out to you for that. That was superb. Slade, anything from you before we go?
Not just, find me at Slade Plays Games on pretty much everything, but Instagram. That's Slade's Life. From over at the Game Club, where you've heard our permanent guest, Alex.
Hello.
And Dan a couple times. And hopefully Dan's episode of Between Two Pods is out by the time this comes out. So if you haven't heard that, Dan had to go in for a grueling round 2 of
it was really mean. Really mean. I'm not going to say anything because I haven't got a clue when I'm going to put this out. But yeah, I think I will put it out after that. But I was not happy. It's just all right then. Look, Alex, Slade, thank you very, very much for jumping on here. Alex, we've got to get you back on. Absolutely. So we'll talk to you about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so follow Game Club Pod and all the subsidiary episodes it does. 2 Blokes from Blighty and on and on. For me, you're listening to me, so you know where to get me, but you can get hold of me across all socials at Casting Views. I will see you next time.
1, 2, 3, 4. If I want your opinion, I will give it to you. Come on, check what we've got, 'cause you need it. Don't make us get a spark and force feed it. Come on,